You need to have a great vision to help see you through the ups and downs of a business. A great takeaway already from speaking with Kat. Welcome to the session, Kat. How are you?
Hi, I'm very well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Let's get straight into it. Tell us a bit about your business, Kat, and the kind of services you provide.
Of course. So we are a research platform for Gen Z. We enable agencies and brands to crowdsource qualitative feedback, ideas, and insights from our global Gen Z community. We do this via our index within minutes and our briefs within 72 hours.
Amazing. Within 72 hours turnaround. That sounds fantastic. I want to know a bit more about how you're turning around and keeping to that promise. So quite soon. But you mentioned Gen Z.
Yes.
So that tells me from a business point of view, you've become quite specific in your business niche already. Can you tell us a bit more about the importance from your perspective of having a strong niche in business?
Yeah, I think it's really important to have a vision and a passion, but to really know your market and to really develop your business around that. So for us, the reason we started the business was because we believe that young people have the right to have a voice and to be heard and to be rewarded effectively for that. And knowing that there is a gap in a market is something that can really, really help your business to thrive. As a result of focusing in on Gen Z, we have actually been able to expand the business to other demographics, but that's for another time.
Mhm. So you started off in the Gen Z area because you had a passion and drive for the Gen Z kind of population, and then from there you've expanded. So for listeners out there, it's really important to think about, right, if we're going to start somewhere, start in a focused area, that creates opportunities to grow to other areas in the future, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm. So, when it comes to working with Gen Z, there are plenty of business owners out there who are, I'll be honest, and there probably be plenty of people listening right now thinking, right, I do struggle to hire people in the Gen Z community to work well for me, etc., etc. Um, Whereas I think the principles of working with the Gen Z population is similar to working with anyone, really. I mean, from your experience, what kind of tips, hints, approaches, or strategies could you maybe share to business owners out there on how to work with and get the best from Gen Zs and create a really good collaboration with them?
The key thing for working with the Gen Z is to really listen. And I don't mean just pick bits that they might say and feel that you've, really taken that on board. I mean, have a conversation and really hear what it is to say. They're not going anywhere. They're the future. Unless you embed that and embrace that within your business, then I think you'll really struggle. Yes,
Mm,
they want to do things differently. Yes, they want to challenge the norm. Sometimes there are a lot of misconceptions around Gen Z and how that can be quite negative, or perhaps shaking things up isn't a good thing. But I always like to say, let's flip that, because why wouldn't we want a better work-life balance? Why shouldn't we be talking about mental health more? Why shouldn't we want to change the way that we work because it could enhance our growth or productivity? So if you actually embrace that and realize that this younger generation aren't there to steal your jobs, they're actually there to learn from you, and there's a lot that
mm,
can be said for cross-generational learning as well. If you embrace that and hear their ideas and thoughts, I mean, I'm lucky I run a Gen Z business, but I'm also surrounded by Gen Z employees. But my knowledge, I feel fresh. I feel like I'm learning all the time, and I feel like I can adapt my business because I've got new thoughts and new ideas and new ways of working that I've been able to adapt to.
Inspirational way of explaining advantages of, hey, look, working and recruiting and involving them in your business. I mean, they are the next generation, as you say, and they're all about change. And in a world where things are changing, we've to be changing with them because they're probably going to be our biggest customers in the handful of years, if not now, really, isn't it?
They are, and they've got a huge spending power. So, to just kind of discount that as a generation. And let's not forget, we've got Gen Alpha as well. So I have a little girl, and she's a Gen Alpha, and they're going to be hot on the heels of Gen Z. So what I would like to see is that millennials, of which I am one, and older generations can say, right, how do we better prepare the workforce for not only Gen Z but for Gen Alpha and generations that are going to come post that.
Mm, makes absolute sense. Absolute sense. Now, you've experienced quite a lot of success in the last 4 years. You've worked with huge brands, and you continue to do so. Plenty of small business owners out there, whichever service or product they sell. would also like to work with huge brands.
Mm.
What tips or strategies or advice would you give to the SME community, regardless of whatever business they're in, get in front of and work with the larger brands?
If that is part of your, something that you really want to do, then you have to really tailor what it is that you're going to talk to those brands about. What are you offering them? Why should they come to you? What is going to be unique to your business versus another business? And why should they not miss out on that opportunity to take advantage of your services? So that could be, really sending them fantastic content. We're very lucky, we run a research business. So when we're talking to brands and to the brands we work with, but also the brands that we hope to work with, we're providing them with rich insight that they couldn't get anywhere else. So to be
Mhm.
able to offer something that they can't get anywhere else is going to be super key. Treat brands, they're humans, they're people. So, there's nothing to be scared of. It's a conversation. Relationships are absolutely everything. So providing value, relationships, showing and being proof of your business and how and what you have to offer are absolutely key in not only getting you noticed, but then to have that longevity with clients. We all want to work with brands of some level, but actually maintaining that relationship is also sometimes just as hard.
Mhm.
So once you're in there, then what can you do to continue to make sure that they don't leave and that they do continue to work with you?
Such an important point you spoke about. We can all go around creating new, say, leads, prospects, or people to work with, and then maintaining it is so important
Mm.
because I imagine from your perspective, getting repeat business from a huge brand again and again is probably easier than going out there and getting new business from new brands all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there is, retention and customer servicing and client servicing is absolutely paramount. So you need to have both. You need to, and what's brilliant about the way we run our business is I'm a co-founder. So I have a co-founder that is much more focused on new business and sales, and I happen to have much more experience in client servicing and retention. So if you're, a business owner on your own, think about how you might be able to surround yourself with people that can offer different
Mhm.
skill sets. And that is, something that I'm really passionate about is always having different people around you, because I could go out and absolutely sell the business, but that's not necessarily my key strength and it's not necessarily my passion. So to be
Mhm.
able to make sure that you've got people in your business that can go, right, I'm going to focus on retention, I'm going to focus on communications, I'm going to focus on sales, if you're lucky enough to be able to hire people and it's not just you on your own, then that will really help you to be able to grow your business.
Retention, such an important word, and I'm so glad you've spoken about it. The next thing I'm going to focus on is looking to the future. We've got a brilliant business with focusing on Gen Z at the moment, and you've started diverging into other populations as well, other demographics or target audiences as well. But looking into the future, what would you say are your top three challenges? Now, we all know the economy is tough for many business owners. We all know that the climate is unstable, etc., etc. Putting all those things aside, because we can't directly influence it. As a business owner, what would you say are your personal top three challenges, or your more specific top three challenges that you're going to think you're going to be coming across?
The that element that we talked about before is is hiring. And
Mm.
if I'm completely honest, I think a couple of years ago we probably hired too quickly, and really to be able to take that time and think about what the business really needs is a massive challenge in itself, because it's a very common thing to say, oh yeah, I just want to get this in, and okay, we've won this budget, so we're going to get this in and we're going to do all these wonderful things. I would say a challenge is to actually sit there and go, what do you really need? What do
Mm.
we really need as a business? What is really going to benefit us from a monetary perspective, from a growth perspective? And be very honest with yourself about that, because I think we definitely have in the past run before we could walk, and I think being able to have that honesty with yourself is a really key factor. um yes, like you said, financial, of course. I mean, there's little things that, well, little things to a small business actually can be big things, and that is late payments. So what I would advise is setting your payment terms. don't accept work if you possibly can without getting all of those agreements in place.
Yeah.
Protect yourself, because if you are a smaller business, if you suddenly don't have, payment from a client or late payment here or whatever it might be, that could really affect your cash flow. It could really affect how you run the business for the next couple of years. And unfortunately, that does happen. And I've heard of it, I've seen it, we've experienced it ourselves. So I would just really urge you to set out those boundaries as soon as you can. And then I think another challenge is just you're in this, you're doing it for a reason, but you also really need to have fun. And sometimes you can get so caught up in, the operations of a business, and actually you forget to just have a bit of fun. And that's a challenge in itself. But I really think that you can make things a lot more enjoyable and keep reminding yourself of why you're doing it if you also just have a bit of fun.
That's sort of reflection to hear, especially at this time of the year when it's so possible to go out and have fun. It's so we've got the excuse to put things down,
Mm,
take a step back, reflect. I mean, just going for a simple walk down the park can be so much refreshing with some more people out there. Yes, it's
yeah,
cold out there, but people are far more fearful. Conversations can happen. Every coffee shop is buzzing right now. Yes, we've got
yeah,
plenty of calories, but also plenty of opportunities to talk and mingle, isn't it?
yeah, it really is, it really is.
Yeah, completely agree. I'm so glad you brought up the element of having fun and also managing cash flow.
Mm,
This time of the year is yes, no doubt there's a big cash outflow, spending
yeah.
money on gifts for yourself, for others, etc. But also is the inflow, are you on top of that as well? Very important point you brought up.
Mm.
Um, Getting people to pay up. You've been through that cycle, I've been through that cycle. Well, what tips would you have to, really get people to pay you on time? It's not like you're asking for crime or something wrong. You just need to get
Yeah,
paid for what you deserve. And it's absolutely normal. People need to get paid for what they deserve. What do you go about
yeah.
doing getting people to pay up on time?
It's that early conversation. It's that conversation
Mm.
at the start of the relationship that is, there are going to be some big businesses that actually you can't, have your 30-day terms and you have to wait longer. And that is okay. But you need to
Mm.
make sure that you're very clear as, as the business provider, the service provider, that you can manage those if they are longer payment terms, that you can one manage them, but also have a conversation. And like I said
Mm.
earlier, they're human, right? So it's not that they're these big scary people, it's humans working for a company. Have an honest conversation with people about payment terms, get some sort of agreement in place if you can, and then it saves from having very awkward conversations where you're just having to chase people all the time, because no one wants to do that. No one wants to be the chaser. No one wants to be chased. So if you can try and eliminate that at an early stage, that should help.
Love it. I mean, like you emphasize on the word should because we can't
Yes.
control everything. We're not going to answer
No, you
everything,
can't.
but it's all about loads of small bullets. There's no silver bullet. Put loads of small, all the basics right, and hopefully it should be a right, well, should be a right outcome for you. But
Yeah.
Kat, you've been absolutely fantastic today. 15 minutes have whizzed by. You've shared so many pearls of wisdom. Hopefully, we can have you back again in the future. But in the meanwhile, thank you so much for being generous, sharing some honest, clear advice for our people. And in the meanwhile, have a wonderful Christmas and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.